What up? What up? Back at it again. It's Al Achad. You know what I'm saying? I just did my review of the movie Nope. Go check that out. This video here is titled Holography Unified Theorem Take 2 because the YouTube algorithms and I guess the fine people working for YouTube decided to take one of my videos down that was about the holography unified theorem, and they took it down because I mentioned and had my 2 cents to give about Corona Bottle 19. You know what I'm saying? So you know what Corona Bottle 19 is. And it kind of gave me a thought of, I don't need to explain this anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's been out for 3 years. Like I said, if you don't know what it is by now, you'll never know. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, yeah. So now we're going to be focusing on the actual foundation of this book, which is right here on the cover. So this is me doing this video all over again because they took the original video down. So right here on the cover, you have was A equals 1 over or divided by infinity. You see the infinity symbol there. So the basis of my book holography is based on that. So it had to be the core of what, you know what I'm saying, what I'm talking about in my book, because it lays the foundation, it's the premise, it's the core or the kernel of everything I'm doing. So if I haven't already explained it, A equals 1 over infinity is an equation just like the equations that they give for any type of theory of everything or grand unifying theorem. Because in science, it's always this attempt to explain everything and then come up with an equation or a formula, you know what I'm saying, or some sort of function that represents that theory of everything toe or grand unifying theorem gut. So toe, theory of everything going forward, and then gut is grand unifying theorem. So for all the toes and guts out there, I said I needed to create one or develop one that was more accurate than all the ones that came before it. So with A equals 1 over infinity, what I'm saying is all equals 1 divided infinitely. All equals 1 divided infinitely. It explains everything. Because understanding that when you're talking about anything, because this is an alchemy based equation, you know what I'm saying? You know, I'm an alchemist, I claim that and I do the discipline for it and I work that. So, as an alchemist, the true and living alchemist, true and living and practical practicing alchemist, you have to come with one thing that you're dealing with in alchemy is coming to the element or the one true element that makes everything, no matter what it is, whether it's physical or non-physical, metaphysical, uber physical, whatever words you want to come up with to describe things that aren't physical but are still considered something, right? Your thoughts, your dreams, your emotions, these are not physical things. You know what I mean? Even everything that you have visions about or all the magic, spiritual things, these things they count as things that exist. That's the point of what I'm trying to say. So with this, what I'm trying to tell you is that whatever thing you name, because anything that has a name, anything that has a designation or appellation or things that you can have a point of reference for. So for example, a symbol that you know what I'm saying contains a meaning. This equation covers it. Doesn't matter what it is, because most unifying theorems or theories of everything only cover physical objects and physical phenomena. But what about things that transcend that? If you're going to say it's a theory of everything, then include everything. Because if not, you should be calling your theorem a theory of physics and keep it that way. See, with my book, it's more about including physics, including metaphysics, including supernatural, including all things, anything considered a thing, a quality, phenomena, whatever it is. My equation explains it. So all things are one thing. You've already heard one love. Everything is one. One, everything is one, right? Achad, right? So how do you explain things that seem to be separate or seemingly divided within this one thing? Because if it's one, why aren't you approaching it that way? You say it's one, but you don't approach it the same way if it's one. So my whole thing is about combining all of that into one equation that explains everything. A equals 1 over infinity. Because you take the one thing that everything all is, you know what I'm saying, and then you're dividing it infinitely to be anything that you want it to be, anything that you can observe, anything that you can see, anything that you can, provide a definition for, anything you can extract meaning from. So this mouse, this computer, this camera, this light, this microphone, this skin, this hair, this hat, glasses, phone, clock in the back, blinds or shades from my patio back here, the apartment itself, the air I'm breathing, the time being told on the clock back here, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, right there, the artwork for my child on top of it, everything. The grass outside, the clouds, the sun, the black holes in space, space itself, all metaverses, how many multiverses, metaverses, everything. This world, dream world, astral plane, don't matter what it is all one, infinitely divided. Because what is the real definition, or excuse me, the real distinction between this phone and the air I'm breathing? Is there a difference? You are inclined to say, well, yeah, it's air and this is the phone. But you just was out here saying all is one. So that means the air and the phone are no different from each other on the highest level of understanding. Do you see what I mean by that? If it's all one, why are you still thinking in divisions? Duality is the first illusion. Whenever the first being was observing that this one thing became two, then it became 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and all these divisions kept going in infinitely. So now you have all these seemingly separate and individualized objects around you in phenomena. Did it stop being one? Or did you start still, or you know what I'm saying, you started looking at it in pieces? That's what my holography unified theorem is here to explain. All A equals 1, because all things are one, divided by infinity. Because who has the number for all the objects and phenomena and concepts that come out of one? Do you have the exact number of it? So I said, okay, we're not going to deal with that exact number. Let's deal with infinity. Because we don't know how many things exist in this universe alone. You know what I'm saying? Before we even get to things that are beyond the universe. You know what I'm saying? It's all one divided by infinity. What better equation explains everything? Like I got a glass of milk, like I'm about to go to sleep in a minute. Warm glass of milk. Now this is coconut. But anyway, that's my equation. This is what this whole book is based on, that one equation. So you have people who sit here and say all is one and be all lovey-dovey and hippie like and new age movement type people, or you know what I'm saying, but they don't really explain, well, why things look divided. If it's all one, why do I look divided from you? Why do I look like I'm divided from this camera or this clock back here? Why do I, you know what I'm saying? Why does this screen look divided from the rest of your computer? That means 1, 2, and 3 are not separate from each other. That means A, B, and C are not separate things of each other. They are all one. So why are you perceiving things in division and duality and plurality? You said it was all one. You concluded and then sat here and was, piggybacking off of someone saying that all things are one. A monad, for example. So how does a monad appear to be all these different separate objects and separate phenomena? Like, for example, could you envision, or could you imagine that you are dying and being born at the same time? Like, for example, your physical birth, experiencing your physical birth and your physical death at the same time. So think about the year you was born and then the year you perished. Could you experience them at the same time? Wouldn't that be a wild ride right there? Because they're supposed to be the same thing. It's all one, right? It's all one. So we deal with the power in the semiosis of one in my book, Holography. You know what I'm saying? It's all about dealing with that equation, that premise, that foundation for everything. And I have a few people trying to challenge me on it, and I'm like, "Well, you buy the book and see what I'm talking about. You gonna challenge me on something that you don't know nothing about yet? You ain't even read it to know to challenge me on it. You know what I'm saying? This is why I'm not, I'm not someone who needs to sit here and argue with you about, what something is or what it isn't. Like, for example, there's people who are supposedly experts in the occult or experts at physics. They're experts at, ancient history, chemet, or something like that. You know what I'm saying? They're experts at metal or experts at chemistry or whatever. But what I'm saying is, well, are any of those four or five subjects separate from each other? Because you as the specialist understanding that you had, you just focus on one subject of the whole spectrum. I'm telling you that everything in that spectrum is not separate from any other thing in that spectrum. You know what I'm saying? So what is the precise agent that is telling you, or the precise mechanism that has you looking at things plurally or in divisions or dually? You know what I'm saying? So I have an equation for that. A equals 1 over infinity. So no matter how many times you divide one or thinking it's being divided and how many number of ways it's being divided, it's all remains one. Doesn't matter how many times you slice the pie remains one. So I have people even now didn't even read the book, didn't even read the free chapter that I give out on my website. You know what I'm saying? Telling me stuff that you don't even know nothing about. You're prejudging the book by its cover, and you ain't even got past the cover. You're one of those guys, one of those gals. You know what I mean? So we think about it mathematically because they do say, right? Mathematics is the language of the universe. Well, give me an equation that mathematically explains the universe and beyond, not just the physical universe, but beyond that. The idea of the universe is included in this equation. You know what I'm saying? 5-part equation. It's 6 when you put it all together. So like I was saying, like you have people that will try to sit here and argue with me about something where it's like, you know, I'm the alchemist, but you the chemist, and you're trying to argue with me about what you think chemistry is. But as the alchemist or someone who has the higher position over your um part of the spectrum, you know what I'm saying? You only deal with one part of that spectrum. I deal with the whole spectrum. So what makes you think you could tell me more about your piece of the spectrum when I'm dealing with the whole thing? I'm dealing with the seed of what you're dealing with. You're trying to tell me about the tree, but I know all about the kernel or the seed. Doesn't make sense. You don't even deal with the seed. You just deal with the tree as it stands as it is. You can sit here and tell me all the details about that tree, but never dug into that soil to know about the roots, or deeper than that or depthically than that, the seed that the tree came, or the tree and the roots sprang out of. That's why this is a book of alchemy, because it's telling you that alchemy is the mother of sciences, first and foremost, so that any science that you could ever deal with, whether it's mundane or occult, goes back into the chem, it goes back into the alchemy. And I have an equation for it. A equals 1 over infinity. So if you had an infinite number of academic subjects that you can study, this is saying that all that is actually one. It's not divided. You are putting a division on it. That division does not truly exist in its absolute sense. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm explaining how that, this alchemy thing became all these different sciences that you're studying in college, or you're doing an independent study of, or all these different magical systems or spirituality systems you're dealing with. It was never ever outside of the one true start or the one true beginning. Even chemistry follows um the presets laid out for it by alchemy. So the fact that you have 118 elements, where does the idea of element even come from? That's an alchemical feature. Because in alchemy, you are searching for that one true element that makes up everything else. So you want to deal with hydrogen, helium, barium, carbon, gold, silver, platinum, iron, you know what I'm saying? Neon, all these different elements that you see on the periodic table. Well, in alchemy, there's only just one of them. It's in the name, chem. So all the elements I just named from that table all stem from chem. So when you say alchemy in Arabic, you're saying the element or the working of the element or the science or the study of that element. That's all you're doing when you say alchemy. So alchemy is the promise that there is only one element, true element. It's only one, making itself look like all the plethora and myriad and plenitude of things that you think exist. So if only Kim exists, then that means that whatever you think anything is, it's only Kim taking the semblance of this thing that you've called it. So it's just like having a pile of clay. I'm sitting here making clay figures, but then I put the clay figure in your hand and I ask you what it is, and you sit here and say, "Well, it's a tree, it's an animal, it's a plant, it's a car." No, nigga, it's clay. Clay making a state or a in a condition or a configuration of this human format. So me, I can only say that I am Kim in a state of Alex Will 64 or Al Akkad. That's it. Or there's the different names for it. Prime and materia. You know what I'm saying? It was once called ether. You know what I'm saying? Some people refer to it as chaos. Like there's different names for the one true element. So if you want to say it one more time, I am simply chaos in the state of Alex or Alakad, or I am the first matter in the format or configuration of Al Akkad. That's it. Just like the air is nothing but the chem or the the ether in the form of breathable air. That's it. So all you're looking at is experiential forms that this one element is shaping itself into, not just physically, but also metaphysically and on a level of concept and abstract. So think about all the abstracts, happiness, energy, these things that do not have, they're not physical, like energy, happiness, sadness, love, hate, you know what I'm saying? Emotion, forward, down, back. Like I'm doing a Mortal Kombat move, forward, down, back, left punch or something like that. Doesn't matter what it is. It's Kim or the first matter or chaos taking the form or format or condition or state of all the objects I just named or things in abstracts I just named. So from that idea or that understanding, what can I do? For example, I can see that because I am a condition of that one element, I get to now go backwards in time or go backwards in my development or creation to see how I was specifically made. Because I am but a composite of forms that the Kim is taking the shape of. So now I get to see, well, why do I have one head instead of two? Why am I dark skin, this color of skin instead of lighter or darker? Now I get to sit here and deal with those forms and know exactly why I am existing in the first place. All because of this one equation. A equals 1 over infinity. So no matter how numerous things appear to be, you know what I'm saying? Like they say, it's like, almost 8 billion people on this earth. Doesn't matter. It's simply the first prima materia shaping itself into 8 billion people. That's it. So you see how alchemy becomes chemistry over the centuries, because chemistry attempts to do the same thing that alchemy does by isolating certain elements which become the ingredients of every physical object here based on their science of chemistry. But it becomes a second subpar um, imitation of alchemy, because alchemy only deals with one element. Even if you deal with the 7 metals that are aligned with the 7 major planets, like the sun, moon, which are luminaries, and then Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Neptune, or Jupiter and Saturn. You know that all those 7 planetary bodies I just named are assigned to a metal. So, for example, sun is gold, moon is silver, Mercury is mercury, quicksilver, is right there in the name. Venus is copper, Mars is iron, Jupiter is tin, and Saturn is associated with lead, right? So even if you just wanted to deal with those 7, even when it comes to alchemy, those 7 bodies or metals are still made up of the one true element. So really, they're kind of like subcategories of the one true element. They're forms that this one true element can put itself into. That's it. So any type of mathematical theory or any of these things that they're dealing with in science, again, it's all in one. And it can be explained, not just simply saying it's all one, but explaining to you why it's all one. Having a credible equation like A equals 1 over infinity to explain it. Keeping in with the mathematics is the language of the universe. So I'm telling you all is one mathematically. I'm explaining it to you mathematically. You know what I'm saying? You want to add and subtract, multiply and divide, deal with your parentheses and exponents. This is what we're doing. Binomials, trinomials, quadrinomials, calculus, you know what I mean? Trigonometry, all one. That's it. How else would you explain it mathematically? Because it's like they only respect things when they are reading them in digits and the equations and the mathematical symbols that you put it in. So I made the attempt to do that in my book. You know what I mean? So now you can sit here and try to, you know, test it. You can try it. You can look for chinks or look for, mistakes or look for some sort of errors in that equation. Go ahead. I challenge anybody to do that. That's what it's there for. You can't be afraid of challenges like that. If you're going to put something out like that, because you know how I like to say, if you don't see nobody else doing it and you see how it can be done, that's your cue, buddy, to do it. You know what I'm saying? That's your lane, because you're the one who saw that it could be done. So do it. The only way to do it is to do it, mom. You know what I mean? I'm trying to charm the women out there. The only way to do it, baby, is to do it. Mm-hmm. What you standing around for? What you pussyfooting for? Do it. Do it. Because now, if I can, because this is something you can just kind of, you could say it's pseudoscience if we're saying alchemy, or if we're saying astrology, or if we're saying spirituality. You know what I'm saying? You can write it off as a pseudoscience, right? Like if you're someone who's strictly empirical and you only deal with practical numbers, and you know what I'm saying, that's all you deal with. Well, I took this and put it right on the cover and dealt with it in this book, so that now I want you to tell me where I went wrong in my equation. Because I'm not upset if you can come up with a better equation, because it's like we're aiming for accuracy. See, this is all about accuracy too. It's about providing an equation or a mathematical theorem that you can't break. You can't, there's nothing about it that it ain't saying that it is. It's foolproof. You know what I mean? Like I said, how you going to disprove it now? And then with this equation, that's not even the only one way to interpret it. Oh. So I have a whole chapter in my book that deals with the Holography Unified Theorem. There it goes, Al Achad's Holography Unified Theorem. And that's the way that I just explained it to you in the past few minutes. That's not the only way to look at it. Because another way you can see it is that if you're looking at this equation right here, and if you divide one by an infinite number, so the smallest modicum of one, that could be 0.00000000000000000 and on and ad infinitum, right? So this very small piece of reality or existence is the element that makes up everything else. So you can even look at it that way. And I explain a few other ways you can look at it. So you look at someone else's equation, and there's only one way to read it or one way to look at it. Mine, A equals 1 over infinity, has multiple interpretations. Multiple. And even in all those multiple equations, all combine as one thing at the end of the day. So not only is it mathematical, it's symbolic. It has a semiosis to it that has different meanings. It's just as if I place a symbol, right here in your face, and you and three other, four other, five other people, y'all all come up with different understandings or different perspectives on that one symbol. You know what I'm saying? Like if I put a cross, like just a regular cross that you see, at a church, a Christian church somewhere, the Christian will say, well, that means death. You know what I'm saying? It means resurrection. It means Jesus or something like that. But outside of that, it can just mean just the two elements that make combine into the one. Like just like the saying this image I have on my book. The vertical bar can be yin, or the vertical bar can be yang, and the horizontal bar can be yin. And you just put them together as a cross. This is really a cross. You're crossing them together to be one thing. So we can deal with this physically, we could deal with this metaphysically. Because when you start dealing with metaphysics, that's when you're getting into mind. You're getting into concepts, qualities, themes, abstracts, right? And like I said in previous videos, everything that you can observe is just symbols of those abstracts. That's it. So that means nothing that you observe is by mistake or by error, or it has no meaning. No, it does have meaning. So I also have a saying in my book where I say, "You, I am united in meaning." It's the thread of meaning. I dealt with that in a previous video. So this whole equation here on my book, A equals 1 over infinity, is a reference to that thread that ties everything together neatly in a bow. You know what I'm saying? Neatly in a bow. So, like I said, I'm challenging anybody to be like, okay, try to dismantle what I just put out here. You can do it mathematically, or you can even do it in the realm of philosophy. You can do it in any way that you want to. Because that's what makes a divided mind is, you go to a school where they have subjects in divisions. Why not study all those things as one thing, or at least study the thing that ties all those academic disciplines together as one? Wouldn't it be cool to study reading, language arts, math, music, law, genetics, biology all in one class? Instead of having to go to separate classes, separate courses? No, we study holography and know the whole thing. We're not divided in our thinking. We're not divided in our knowledge, wisdom, or understanding. We put the pieces together. We don't just pile up the pieces and think we smart because we collected all this data and information in all these books, or that we have access to all these websites or people on YouTube speaking. No, we put it all together now into a coherent whole. Hence holography, a universal symbol setting. So what do I mean by universal symbol setting? So it's universal, meaning that it's everywhere. That's a term meaning everywhere. And then symbol, you know what a symbol is? It's a container of meaning. It doesn't have to be something you write. Every object, every phenomenon, every person, everything, every being is a symbol. And then setting, which goes into the word existence, because existence means to stand out or to set out, as if saying I'm creating something and I'm establishing its creation by putting it up. It's just like if I had like a show of something, right? And I put these actors on stage. I put this table on stage. I put this curtain, like all these props that you put on a stage. That's what existence means. You're putting things up for observation and review, or for someone to interact with, for someone to observe, for something to think about. So existence, universal symbol setting. That's what holography deals with. And it explains everything. That's what makes it the grand unified theorem. That's what makes it the theorem of everything. Doesn't matter what it is. So you waste your time trying to explain some division when I'm dealing with the whole. Come deal with the whole with me. Stop trying to pull me into one of these divisions or these divided pieces. Come deal with the whole thing with me. Because you could be the world's top expert on lumber. You could be the top expert on botany. You could be the top expert on, the occult. Doesn't matter. You are only dealing with a piece of the pie. I'm dealing with the entire pie, dude. Do that. And then, like I said, you're dealing with these theory of everythings and these grand unifying theorems in science when they only deal with physical stuff and physical phenomena. Don't we have an existence beyond physics? Don't we? Because that's something where people will try to deny that too. But I'm like, okay, so do you have feelings? Do you have emotions? Do you have dreams? None of those things count as physical. They're not physical. Or when you read a story, and the themes and the concepts come from that story, the controlling ideas of the story, is that physical? No. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about in my book. Because when you put something out like that, you're challenging norms. You're challenging established traditional norms. You know what I'm saying? People have grown accustomed to it. They have grown in their comfort zone with it. And whenever someone's in a comfort zone, good luck trying to take them out of it. You know what I'm saying? Good luck. Because that's like trying to get someone out of a bed that, what I'm saying, it's super soft, it's super cozy. You know what I'm saying? They rubbing their toes on people. It's comfortable. You don't want to leave it. I get it. So these scientific and educational comfort zones are being challenged here. You know what I'm saying? For a better and a progressive way into a higher advancement of things. Because when people get in their comfort zones, they don't advance. They don't go forward. They don't progress. They stay stuck right there in that comfort zone. And thinking they smarter because they've been with that material for that long time. Doesn't matter. There's a world outside of your comfort zone. It's a whole world. It's a whole frontier, a whole area. Come deal with the whole with me and leave the parts and divisions alone. You know what I'm saying? Because even the divisions are included in what I do. Because you got to understand, if you're dealing with the one true thing that creates everything else, that means that you can make anything out of it. This is why I was saying before that, everything is made up. Stay woke. Just like the dude said in what's the show, Atlanta? The Lakeith Stanfield character, what's his name? Darius. He tells Donald Glover's character, everything made up, nigga, stay woke. And it's like, it's on one level, okay, I see what you're saying, but then there's higher degrees to that. It's a statement with layers to it. Because when does it stop where something isn't made up? Physics is made up. Mathematics is made up. Flesh and blood biology, it's made up. Someone came up with the term. What was it called before they came up with the term biology? Is bio Greek? Is that a Greek root? So you're saying that Greek is the only language, like it was the first language? There was a language before that. So someone made up that word. Someone took bio and logic and put it together and create biology. It's made up. That's the thing about alchemy. Once you get to the true element, you understand the true element of something, you can make anything now. Because why would you, like, for example, you are under someone else's authority. You're choosing their authority. So think about all the things you think is true right now, and you believe it right now. Someone made that up. And if something can be made, it can be demade, or it can be destroyed, or deconstructed. It was constructed, we can deconstruct it. Just like if I took a piece of clay and molded it into a tree, I can smush it and smash it and roll it into a ball and then create something that looks like a human. I can smash that one more time and then create something that looks like a car. It's made up. So when you deal with the clay of existence, rather than just dealing with the forms that, or, just stuck to the forms that clay can put itself into, you know what I'm saying? You are on a higher level. You're dealing with the clay itself, not the forms the clay can form itself into. So now once you're back at the clay state, you know what I'm saying? For example, you can now create new forms, or forms that have been long lost, or forms that have yet to be introduced to the human race. Creativity, ain't it? Because everybody want to believe that their system or their belief or their philosophy or their ideology is greater than everybody else's. You got religious holy wars and arguments online right now. Don't you? Someone like me or you, we can just come to them and, both of these things y'all arguing about is made up, right? You know that, right? They are made up. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to come to that understanding. They don't want to come to that realization. So you accepted someone's authority on that piece of information, and you never let it go. And now that I'm challenging you on it and other people are challenging you, now you want to try to defend something where it's like, ain't no use of defending it. There's no use of defending it because we're dealing with the element that makes up that thing you believe in. So that's the bulk of my equation. A equals 1 over infinity. So like I said, I had to come back and create this video over again because I said something about Corona bottle 19. So they took the whole video down. So this is me doing it one more time, baby. So again, Al Achad, holography, the whole writing of the arts and sciences as one educational discipline. You can find it right there on the screen. Holographer.com/the-book. And I will catch you in the next video.